Hi, this is Krista and I'm back with a quick tutorial on how to do a basic clip art, trace, and cut file. The first thing you want to do is to set up your registration marks. I am selecting type 1 for the cameo, portrait, or curio. You can change the length, thickness, and inset for this. If you are working with a cameo, you will want to change your cutting mat to a 12 by 12 rather than an 8.5 by 11. The next step would be to locate your clip art, and I am using the drag and drop method. There are other ways where you can import the image. I just choose this. I'm not an expert, but this is what I'm most comfortable with. I will then want to go to the far right hand corner and find the trace tool, which is shaped like a butterfly. Click on that option and then click on select trace area. Highlight your entire clip art image, and then you can slide the threshold all the way up to 100 and click on trace outer edge. The next step would be to change that line that was created after we traced it to a blue line. It is currently a red line, but red lines for me are cut lines and blue lines are trace lines. So I'm going to select line color, select the second option, and right now neither the red or the blue are selected. If I highlight the image, still neither red or blue are selected, but if I try to click better on that red line, now you'll see here that the red box has been highlighted. I want to now click blue to change that line to blue. And I realize I should have selected a better clip art, and I apologize. I will do another clip art as an example after this. I am moving the line box further down so that I can use it later, and I am selecting the star, which is actually the offset, and I want to make sure that the blue line is still highlighted in that box below. Click offset, and you can change this with the arrows up or down, or you can just backspace and input a number that you're comfortable with. I like to use 0.030 and then hit apply, and I want to change the trace line now back to a cut line to create that sticker look. Now you want to select, highlight over everything, right click and hit group. That should group now the clip art, the trace line, and the cut line. So now if you move the image will move as a whole. If you grab one of the four corners, this is one way you can resize things, or you can go over to the right hand side, and where there's those three columns, you can select that one. That's the transformation tool. Here you can change the width and the height of the image. Just make sure that on the right hand side you select lock, so that if you change the height, the width will change accordingly and your aspect ratio will remain the same. Now you can choose to drag and drop another clip art and repeat the steps that I just showed you, and position the bat up in the page and fill your page with different types of clip arts. Or if you're making a certain project, I will show you how you can replicate this one image with ease. So if you just place this image somewhere on the page, and then we're going to go back to the far right hand corner and select the replicate tool or option. If you select the replicate tool and then fill page, click that and magic. Your whole page will be filled with that one image. Now we're ready to print and cut, but before I print, I like to make sure that my cut files are set correctly. So I want to go into send, and here my options aren't showing up correctly, so this is a good example. I'm just going to click over to simple and then back to line. Now it'll show my blue trace line and my red trace line. If I unclick the red lines, then you'll see that the blue is showing up, and that will just cut around the bat. If you select the red will cut and make like a sticker cut, so it'll leave you that little white space area over it. Now right now it's set on a full cut, and these are the settings that I use when I would like to cut a die cut. These are settings for my specific silhouette. You can try starting there. Now I want to show you for stickers, I actually have it preset to Portrait Sticker Kiss. That's what I named it. And once I click on that, all my settings on the bottom will change for a kiss kiss cut. And a kiss cut is when it'll create a sticker, not a full cut where it'll cut completely through the sticker paper. Now that I've confirmed that my cut lines are good, I need to go back to design and select from file, select print. Next, you want to select your printer. I go in between using an HP or a Canon, and each of those have different print settings, so it really depends on your printer and also the type of paper you're using. I normally will print on with my Canon. I will use the print quality or the media quality. I will choose the brochure matte paper, whether I'm using cardstock, sticker paper, or photo matte paper. It just really depends. So what I would do is I would play around with your printer, the different types of papers and the settings. Sometimes I will change the print quality from standard to maybe custom or high. It really depends on your printer. So just play around and figure out which settings work best for you. Once you have that, you can send it to print. The final step would be to load that printed either sticker paper or cardstock or photo paper onto your Silhouette mat. Make sure that your cut settings, hit send, and then confirm that you're cutting on the correct paper type, and then hit send. That's it. And then you've got a whole bunch of either stickers or die cuts. Next, I'm going to walk you through some trace and cut files for some of the other clip arts that's included in the Planner Society Halloween 2017 digital files found on Etsy. So I'm just setting up another Silhouette mat with the registration marks, and I'm going to drag and drop just a few different types of clip arts from that digital kit. Again, you can purchase that from off of Etsy on Christy Tomlinson's Etsy account. So I think I'm going to take this kitty cat. She's so cute. Let's drag her there. And I'm only going to show you how to do the trace and cut lines for these, and maybe some of the mistakes that you might make and might lead you to some frustration, but don't give up. It's very easy. It's very simple. I think I'll grab this bow also just to give a few different types. And when you drag and drop, make sure that you don't hover over an existing image because you will replace it. So just make sure you're placing it in an open space. So now I'm just positioning this in different places so that it'll be easy for me to just do the trace lines without having to move things over. Just want to leave it all in one place. I'm going to zoom in so you can see the details a little better of what I'm doing. So if you go back to the far right hand corner, select the trace. We're going to do select trace area, highlight your image, make sure you're highlighting over the complete area. And here I'm going to show you where I'm not highlighting over the entire portion of the clip art, but you can move that shadow box over. And now you want to move your threshold up to 100%, and I'm just going to select trace outer edge. Now I'm going to go back to the line style, the second option for fill color or line color, and I'm going to select, make sure, see it's not selecting red or blue right now. I'm going to go back to the image, and you see how the red box has now changed. So I want to change it to a blue line, and I'm going to move this line style box down so I can keep using it after the next step for the offset. So you want to make sure that you're on the blue. Click offset and change your distance to what you're comfortable with. I use 0.030, and then I make sure you change your line color to red for the cut file. Then select all the layers, right click and group. This will keep your image all together. Next, I'm going to work with the bow on the paper clip, and I am going to position this so it's easier for me to manipulate it on the screen so that you can see it. So I'm going to find again this trace option and select trace area, highlight the image, put the threshold up to 100, and then trace outer edge. And again, we're just going to repeat the steps from before. So I'm looking for the line color screen, line style. Now I'm going to select the image, and I'm deliberately clicking on the image itself to show you that that is not the layer that we want. So I'm going to click off of that image and try to select, go close to the red line and click on that. So now you'll see the line color, that box, the red box, has changed to red or highlighted on red. I want to change that to blue. Now I'm going to go back to the offset, click offset, and change that measurements. Again, my measurements I like to use are 0.030. And then hit apply, and we need to change that blue line, that is our offset line, to a cut line. And that's going to create that sticker, you know, that white border around your clip art for like a typical sticker. So now I'm going to group it all, highlight it all, right click and group it, and move on to the next clip art. See, easy. Once you keep doing these steps over and over, it will become natural and habit and very easy. So let's go and select the trace area, highlight your clip art, threshold, let's threshold up to 100, select outer edge. We're going to change our line color. I'm having some problems with my screens. Okay, so let's select, we need to change the trace line to blue. So let's select, oh, one shot, I got it. So it highlighted red. Let's change that to blue. And then we need to go to the offset to create the actual cut line. So here, if I click on the image, see that offset now has created a box around the entire image. That's not what you want. So I'm going to delete that box, and I did that deliberately to show you. You need to make sure that you are on the blue cut line. So we want to select the blue cut line. See there, the blue cut line. And now if we hit offset, it's going to actually offset the blue trace line that we want. So for this type of image, I wouldn't just go ahead and punch in the number. I would use the arrows because I want to make sure that I'm not cutting off something, like the bows aren't getting cut off. So now I'm going to change it, the cut line, to red, select all, group, and now move on to the last, which is the cat. And it's very simple. The steps are trace, change the line color, offset, change the line color, highlight, and group. So now I'm going to position my mat so that it's in your viewing area. This is not how I would normally work, but for the purposes of this tutorial, that's what I'm choosing to do. I'm selecting the trace, select trace area, highlight your image, and then move your threshold up to 100 and select the trace outer edge. Once you have that, the next step would be to change that line color from red to blue. And then select offset, click offset. And this is, for an image like this, I would not necessarily just automatically change the measurements to 0.03. I do use the arrow because you'll see that that cut line will change depending on, and it's all about preference. If you want it to be a hole, if you don't want the inside sides by the bow and the tail in between that area to be cut, it's all preference. You just play around with it, tinker around with it. And I need to change that cut file to red, highlight all the layers, right click, and select group. Now if for some reason these images get separated, if you highlight all three of them and go over to the right and click on transform and select that center one. It's the second option on that center. Then you can highlight, it'll center the image. Now you can highlight all your layers, right click, and group. You're done. So I hope by showing you different mistakes that I've made in the past, that if you run into those problems, you'll be able to maybe troubleshoot with some of these quick tips. Now I'm just going to position my die cuts or stickers because using this method I could print and cut this into a die cut or into a sticker. Now I'm just gonna try to fill this page up. You can replicate and you can replicate. I'm gonna mirror this image so it'll create a complete opposite. I like to use these when I may want to use it as a paper clip or a magnet so that I have a front and back that when the right sides are facing out, they'll match. You can also like spin your images to maximize the real estate on your paper. You can resize them. There's all these things. And again, when you're resizing, make sure that you grab it from one of the four corners. You can also copy and paste an image. You can right click and duplicate. There's different ways to do this. It's all about preference. Maybe a certain situation will call for one or the other. I like to just resize some images and squeeze them in. I don't like to waste sticker paper or cardstock. So I'm going to continue to try to fill this page up. I'm going to drag this image down and use that mirror feature. So I'm going to select replicate and you can mirror down, up, left, or right. I'm choosing up, which it really doesn't matter. It's just creating the image because once it die cuts, you can position it any way you want on like your lamination sheet. So this is just, maybe I have OCD and that's why I do it this way. But you can resize your images to make them for larger die cuts, paper clips, magnets, stickers. The possibilities are endless. And again, I just kind of copy, paste, duplicate, replicate images and resize them to fill the paper in. And just a reminder to make sure that all your images are staying within that red box, that the perimeter, that is your red, that's everything within there will cut, anything outside will not. I have my page set up to printing borderless. So that's just a few quick tips for you and I'll be back with more later. Thank you.